This episode is brought to you by Monkey Nutrition.
You make you don't hide the fact that you're a pretty prolific user of nootropics, and I'm quite interested to know how much of your success would you have achieved if you had never touched a nootropic, never had caffeine, never had those, I don't want to say crutches because it has negative connotations, but do you think you could have done this all without the
smart drugs, chemical warfare? I think so. The smart drugs and drug use, I view as experiments and exploring potential, but I don't use, unless we count caffeine in its various iterations. So tea, I do have tea every day, typically in the mornings. I have pu'er tea, which has some very interesting properties. Also have yerba mate tea quite frequently when I'm on book deadline. I use that at night.
For the theobromine,
theophylline, which is found in the tea. And I do think that the benefit of the yerba mate for me, after living in Argentina, is as much the ritual as it is the stimulant effect. But because I'm also having red wine, which isn't exactly a smart drug.
You say the red wine comes out sometimes around 5 p.m. Does it help your thinking process?
The red wine, I really try not to have wine too early these days. But what I find is 2 glasses of wine, not more, relaxes. It takes the edge off just enough for me to be able to joke around and jest in my writing while still being able to remember what the fuck I'm trying to say.
Right, okay.
A lot of the...
If you do any more, there are these nights. I remember when I was writing 4-Hour Workweek, and I was like, well, it's I think challenging for a lot of people, including me. It's like if you pop open a bottle of wine and you have 2 glasses, it's pretty hard not to finish the bottle, and it can be. And I would pop open these, bottle of wine, and I'd have like a 3rd glass or a 4th glass. And then I would look at my writing the next day, and I was just like, what the
absolute nonsense
is this garbage?
It's like that spider that's been given mescaline and makes the fucked up web.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what my chapter would look like, and I'd be like, never again, never again.
Strangely enough, a good friend of mine told me that in the ancient Arab world, a lot of their greatest poets and scholars considered red wine to be their muse, and they wouldn't do any of their work without it.
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Interesting.
I find, I do enjoy red wine. I enjoy the ritual. I think rituals are very important for conserving your creative resources. In other words, I don't want to spend a lot of energy deciding what I'm going to have for breakfast each morning, what I'm going to do first, what I'm going to do before bed. I want those all to be automated to the extent that I have a routine that takes care of all of those things, so that I can apply my decision making to the things where I have the greatest input or impact or output. And I really try not to. I do think that the number of decisions you can make in a given day is finite, and if you waste those decisions on small things or trivial things, you will make either poor decisions or no decisions when it comes to the big things.
Because you only have so much mental bandwidth.
Yeah, and this has been pretty well researched. There's been some writing in the New York Times, which of course isn't the firsthand data, but it goes by a number of names. One of which is ego depletion. I'm not a huge fan of that term, although Dan Ariely, who's written Predictably Irrational, a great book, as well as others out of Duke University, has written about it. It really seems that much like muscle glycogen and neurotransmitters, there is a finite supply, or at least if you deplete it at a rate faster than you're able to replenish it, however that actually breaks down physiologically, you basically run out of the ability to make good decisions. But coming back to the smart drug question, I've used everything. I've tried modafinil, I've tried some really unusual stuff, but oxiracetam, aniracetam, phenylpiracetam, hydrogen, all of the usual suspects.
Adderall? Have you tried any
Adderall? I've tried, although I really try to stay away from, when possible, the methamphetamine analogs of derivatives. So I'm not a huge fan of methylphenidate, which is Ritalin, for instance.
This week on London Real, We're taking you back to our 2012 interview with futurist Jacques Fresco.
We must eventually design a language that's not subject to interpretation. Whenever you talk to people, you think you're talking to people. It goes in their ear and comes out in relation to their background. They don't hear exactly what you say. There is no way you can think outside of your culture.
What if we elected you president this year and you started in the Oval Office January 20th, 2013?
I'd be shot in 3 days. Who makes the decisions in the Venus Project? The answer, nobody. They arrive at them. We abolish all separate nations because they're all corrupt.
Jacques Fresco has been designing cities of the future.
What do you think of England and London?
Foul, awful, no city planning. All cultures are corrupt.
And the banking system? What will we do with
Bank
that?
it gone, no money anymore.
On Sunday, London Real presents Jacques Fresco, The Venus Project. Redux.
Most politicians know nothing. Please don't take my word for it. Ask them.